in that moment was when Georgia was like, it's time to put me first. Welcome back, retro babes. It's GOOGii from the future, aka GOOGii. I'm your favorite Afrofuturistic retro babe, and today I'm excited because we're bringing back Crafty Bitch Chronicles. I've got my iPad and my pen ready and ready to get into this video. You guys, I'm so excited because one, look at the backdrop of my video. I love, first of all, I know this time of year can give people seasonal, depression, right? But I love that golden hour light starts at like 1 p.m. Like this is just golden hour light. No filter, no ring light. This is just the light hitting me and it makes my background look so crisp. I just love it. I just love it. I know I say every movie is my favorite movie, but this is one of my favorite holiday movies. I don't know what to tell you guys. I'm a movie buff and this is long overdue because I meant to do this video last year around this time. This one is Last Holiday. I think this movie is a remake, and in the spirit of Georgia Byrd's red dress, I have my red dress I'm wearing right now. This red dress is from The Vixen by Micheline Pitt, and I just added a scarf because it's a little, boobylicious. This movie teaches you guys to give yourself permission. So Georgia went from being unnoticeable, letting life pass her by, wondering when something's gonna happen, something big to happen for her. And I definitely resonate with that because I was on that journey too, to taking life by the reins and becoming that girl. And it all stemmed from a diagnosis, or should I say misdiagnosis. So Georgia is your typical retail worker from Atlanta. She was just, the good, wholesome church girl, went to church, went to work, went home type of person. She always had big dreams. And actually, y'all, if you watch the movie, she had the talent to back them up. She just didn't give herself permission to be great because I guess in her head, she already gave herself a no. And that's important. Like whether you can or whether you can't is up to you, to be honest. And I know they say that saying a lot, especially when we're younger, but it didn't start to hit in my life personally until maybe I would say 3 years ago. You have to give yourself permission. So the funny part about it is like all of this was only through Georgia's eyes. Everybody else could see her talent. They saw her as attractive. They saw her as worthy, but she didn't see herself as worthy. And that's like a motherfucker when everybody else can see your talent and see how great you are or how great you can be, and you just can't see it for yourself. Maybe because, you get overshadowed or whatever the case may be. Someone could have just gave you a bad comment when you were a kid and you took that into adulthood. It could be anything, but just know that everybody else can see your worth 9 times out of 10 before you can even see it. Georgia was an inspiring chef in the cookware department of her retail store. I don't think it was Walmart, but it was somewhere like similar to Walmart. She used her cooking skills to demonstrate the cookware so she can get more sales from her department because everyone loves a good sample, especially a delicious one. I love that because she used her skills to get what she needed done. And I'm 100% for that. And as a makeup artist, I remember applying to every makeup counter there is. And even if I couldn't get into a makeup counter, which spoiler, I never did, I would apply to retail stores so I can get close to the makeup counter. Like I would work in the clothing, and women's clothing was always close to perfume, and perfume was always close to makeup, so I could be there and like schmooze with the makeup artists and stuff. Of course, I was too shy for that, but I understand her aspiring to be a chef and wanting to work in cookware so she can get as close to her dream as she thought she could. I remember when I used to apply to makeup counters because I thought that was the closest way I could get to my dream at that time of being a celebrity makeup artist. The thing about it is, I fully believe that being humble, though it can be a cute attribute, it really doesn't get you anywhere because Georgia is such an amazing cook. She was around in the time where around the evening time, like your favorite chefs would have their cooking shows and you would cook along with them. That's what she used to do all the time. So she was self-taught and self-trained. She just reminds me so much of me as a self-taught makeup artist because I used to do the same thing with makeup. I would sit up at night practicing my YouTube tutorials over and over again and get so great at it. I was too scared for at least the first 2 years. I felt like I wasn't even worthy enough to call myself a makeup artist, even though I knew everything. Same thing with Georgia. Georgia would make these 5-star dinners at home, and she didn't even want to call herself a chef. She felt like she wasn't worthy enough to call herself a chef. And mind you, she didn't even taste her own food. She was too worried about being safe. And safe to her wasn't eating the food that was fattening with butter and herbs and spices and looking delicious and feeding her soul. She felt the safe option was eating her microwavable lean cuisines. But obviously the food didn't go to waste. She would feed it to her neighbors. Sometimes being safe and being comfortable keeps you stuck. And that's what it was doing. She was safe in her job, only cooking meals for free samples. She was safe being in her little bubble, not going after the man that she loves, which we'll get to in a second. She was safe putting her head down, hustling and hustling and hustling. And when you're a dreamer, for all of my dreamers who are probably watching this, that's why you clicked on the video, your dreams don't just get pushed down nowhere. They have to come out somewhere. So for her, she had this book called The Book of Possibilities. And in there, she would put all her dreams. It was like a vision board. I'm not gonna try to come for y'all vision board girlies, but yeah, it was like a vision board. Y'all, Lavi wants to say hi. Say hi to the people, Lavi. And there's nothing wrong with vision boards. It is a good way to remind yourself of where you want to be. But I've noticed the problem with a lot of vision board girlies, myself included, for the first like 3 years on my manifestation journey, way back when, I would make vision boards every year and I wouldn't get anything on it because I would just look at it hoping and wishing for something to happen instead of actually giving myself permission to do it and then taking the actionable steps to do it. And that's when I started crossing things off. I just feel like this is a cautionary tale for some people like hating their life or not being satisfied or feeling stuck and waiting for this big moment to happen. And they don't realize that the big moment is you. You are the big moment. You are the star. You are the creator of your life. Like, you are the power. You think you're powerless. You think that something's outside of you, but it's really you. Because at the end of the day, you have to take the steps to even have the mindset to think you can have something. If you can't even think you can have it, how are you ever going to get it? If you think it's far off, how will it ever be close? If you think it's a possibility, however will it be a reality? Even though I watched this movie a long time ago, because I think it came out in like 2006, before I started working and stuff like that, a lot of this movie reminds me of like my first 5 years working in retail, and I would do the same thing she does. I was very shy. I put my head down, but I was also very good at my job, and I was one of the best workers at my job. This girl's pooping. She's pooping right now. Please hold. It kind of also reminded me of my review, if you guys haven't seen, of my Big Fat Greek Wedding, where Tula went through the same thing. She felt like she needed a change. She was doing the same thing every day. She felt like she had to go through this big transformation. The funny part about this movie is, I don't think she had that complex that they normally play in movies where she thinks she's unattractive. I think Georgia's well aware of how attractive she is, to the point where she turns down, in the beginning of the movie, men that try to holler at her, which I would too if a man tried to holler at me, like when I'm walking and they're in a car. That's weird, ill, dangerous. She was secretly in love with this man named Sean. LL Cool J looking fine as ever, still fine. But I feel like her and Sean had a thing going on. They were just too scared to ask each other out. But she knew he liked her and he knew she liked him, and they had that little cute little flirtatious thing going on. So I don't think she was unattractive or she thought she was unattractive. I think she just didn't give herself the permission to, you know, show off her goods and really step into that feminine energy, I guess, if you want to call it that. When he got the nerve to ask her out, she bumped her head at work, and they did a CAT scan on it and found out that she only had 3 weeks to live.
Like, I'm gonna die? I feel fine.
That's crazy. This is the point where I say in a lot of my videos, if you watched my content before, where she became fed up. Because she felt like her life was wasted away, and to only have 3 weeks to live and have not lived at all, that's a very shocking thing to go through, realize, and accept. So I feel like she went through the stages of grief really, really fast, and she was like at the point of anger, like fed up, like why? Why, Lord? Why, please? It became like acceptance, like, okay, if I have 3 weeks to live, I'm gonna go all out. I'm gonna have me a ball. I'm gonna have a fun time. So she liquidated all of her assets and started crossing off the list of all of her possibilities and made them reality. Right when she found out that she only had 3 weeks to live, literally on her way home, Sean finally asked her out and she had to turn him down because she knew she was gonna, you know, die. He didn't know it, but she knew it. And she was just like, I don't want to start something with somebody and I only have 3 weeks to live. But it's like right when she found out, she truly started to live and things started to happen for her because she was fed up. She decided enough is enough. I'm gonna take life by the reins. I'm gonna be in control now. When she found out her diagnosis, she went to tell her boss what was going on. And her boss was one of these like chauvinistic white guys.
What?
Reads the 48 laws of power.
What?
He was giving that, no shade to 48 laws of power. He was giving that energy. And he was listening to one of the tapes, like one of those Be a Man competition tapes from the district manager over their store.
Rule 1. Life is not a popularity contest, but it is a contest. Boo-hoo, they don't like me. Rule 2.
And when she decided to quit, and I went through this too, y'all, she found out that their store is doing terrible. Actually, all the stores in the district are doing terrible. And the only department that is doing good, the one she's in charge of, the one she previously got flack for feeding the customers food. Like, he gave her crap for feeding the customers food in the beginning of the movie. And it turns out that exact action is what's getting the cookware sold and making her a specific department not only the #1 in her store, but the #1 in their entire district. He was sitting here humbling her the whole time. And she asked him, she's like, well, if I'm #1 in the store, if I'm the #1 worker in the store, why are you treating me like this? And he looked at her and he said, because I knew you would ask for more money or quit.
You better be joking.
Let me tell you something. This is the point of knowing your worth. Know your worth. Because like I said, everyone else can see your worth before you can. Literally everybody else. And I remember I was working in a retail store and I worked in the food side and I was there for like maybe 3 years and they kept telling me, we're going to give you full time. We're going to give you full time. We're going to make you a manager. They kept feeding me these lies, right? Just to get me to stay. Every time I got fed up, they would feed me these lies, right? So one time I actually put in my 2-week notice. And my manager, he came up to me, he's like, I don't know why you're trying to quit. I was going to give you full time. I actually want you to be the assistant manager. Do you really want to quit? You can just take your vacation and think about it. And if you really want to quit, then quit. And I stayed. But I realized later on that he says that to everybody. He just says that to the workers that he knows he overworks because he can. People will overwork you when they know they can. I just want y'all to know that. People will overwork you when they know they can. When you don't know your worth and people know you don't know your worth, they will squeeze whatever little bit they can out of you until you figure it out. So you better figure it out now. Ask for more, demand more, because you know you're capable. He knew she was capable. And then right when she was actually about to walk out the door, he was offering her more and more money. He's like, fine, if you want the more money, if you want the raise, I'll give it to you. To the fact that when she stormed out of the department and was storming out of the store, over the intercom system, unprofessionally, he was offering her more and more money to get her to stay. Know your freaking worth. I cannot stress it enough. The problem with Georgia Byrd and the problem with a lot of us who suffer from being too humble is that we're taught, especially women, this is why I make this channel for women, especially my Crafty Bitch Chronicle series, is that we think being a good person means rewards. We think that it works that way, and it doesn't. Because if it did, then why are certain, not all, good people poor? And why are certain, not all, rich people who are winning mean and in some people's eyes, I don't like to say this, but not all rich people are evil, but evil. And when you're taught this way, you think that people who put themselves first are selfish. Like her sister, who called her up and was like, hey, can you watch the kids, not knowing that Georgia was dying. And she's like, well, why I gotta watch these kids? Her sister told her that she wanted to become a black country singer. And Georgia was like, girl, ain't no black country singers. How you gonna become a black country singer? And her sister said something that I love. She was like, I'm not gonna let you put negativity on my dreams. This is my dream and I'm gonna go after it. Her sister, who's probably seen as the villain in Georgia's eyes, was someone who took life by the reins and went after what she wanted. Now, did she have selfish moments? We don't know. In Georgia's eyes, probably yes. But she went after her dream. She didn't care if she could sing or not. She didn't care what Black country singers there were or not. She wanted to be a Black country singer. Someone gave her the opportunity. She was trying to find childcare so she can go. And I think in that moment was when Georgia was like, it's time to put me first. You have to put yourself first. Putting yourself first is not selfish. And if people think that's selfish, that's a them problem. Now, when you put yourself first in a way of hurting other people, that's selfish. I feel like your actions affect others, but they also affect you. So you might as well affect it in your favor. Okay? Think in your favor. Because being humble left her sad and alone and resenting people who were living their dream life. And not only did she start going after dream life, Georgia started speaking up for herself.
How much for the damn cocoon?
And as a former, very soft-spoken person, it is the most freeing thing when you start telling people no, when you start speaking up for yourself, when you start advocating for better because you know you deserve it, and you have the credentials to back you up. For her credentials were that she liquidated all her assets. So she had the money to get the first class ticket. She had the money to do whatever the fuck she wanted. She had the money to take a helicopter because she didn't want to wait for the layover flight. I know when you watch this movie, you'll think, oh, it's because she's rich that she got all this praise and she got all this attention. It was her confidence, okay? It was her confidence. I know everybody does the comparison with Bill Gates, but he's like the easiest one. Like, if you see Bill Gates walk down the street, you really wouldn't know it's Bill Gates unless you know what he looks like. Like, Gina had this new confidence, this new glow about her, like she belongs. She told herself she belongs. She gave herself permission that she belongs. And because she did that, because she took these inspired actions, like moving herself up to first class, like taking a helicopter. The last person that took a helicopter to the hotel she went to was Elton John. So everyone just automatically assumed that she was just this very important person. And once she got there, once she started feeling herself, she knew she had to start looking the part. And y'all know I got a good glow of fashion montage.
Make me international.
This one was so amazing. And I love when Queen Latifah plays in movies because her insecurities never really stem from her weight or her body. It's just maybe she's not as confident in herself. But that's like the only movie I saw where she's not confident in herself. Usually, in everything she's in, she's confident. She loves her body. She loves being bigger. She loves her curves. And she always has the finest men. I mean, LL Cool J, come on now. Fine. What's in that other movie where she had to play small, just right? Common, fine. And still fine. I think what drew so much attention to herself in that hotel that she was in was the fact that she no longer had fear. She started to take risks and she started to indulge. And as a woman, men love to watch women take care of themselves. It makes them want to take care of them. Like, let me say that again. Women who take care of themselves make men want to take care of them. I think I saw a YouTuber who said that and it always stuck with me. People in general love to watch people indulging and receiving pleasure. That's why like things like mukbangs do really well on here, or shopping hauls or unboxings or come shop with me. People love to watch other people indulge. I don't know, that just attracts people to her. In the hotel's restaurant, the head chef was one of her favorite chefs, and he always changes the specials every single day. So because she had the money, the will to attitude, and the reason to indulge, she got everything off the menu in one night. Well, if the specials are going to change, I might as well have every single one. She didn't get any substitution. She wanted all the fat, all the butter, all the love. And that chef was so shocked and happy to see that he personally sat with her.
Chef GD, you crazy.
So this is what I want to tell you guys, is that if you're a manifestation girly, you're welcome here. If you're not, I mean, you're still welcome, but this is a manifestation channel. If you don't like it, leave. Things that you desire are desiring you. And I feel like for Georgia and the head chef, he was looking for someone like her, someone who enjoys his food as he intended. Because, you know, sometimes with people who are so concerned about how they look to others and stuff, they want, you know, the fat taken off, reduced fat, less this, less that, substitutions. And that's not how he originally intended his food. And for someone to come in there, not only order everything off the menu, but order with no substitutions, he instantly fell in love with her. She's just so magnetic and charismatic now. And he just knew she was a woman just based off the ticket. And I love that too. The same time that she went to that hotel is the same time that her district manager and the senator of Georgia was at the hotel too. And they started to take notice, like, who is this mysterious woman who has everybody eating out of the palm of her hand? And the senator is Black, so of course he's like, that's a good woman right there.
Hello, sister.
That's a fabulous woman. I want to get to know her. I want to know who she is. Who is this mysterious, sexy lady that knows how to eat and knows how to run the men?
I wish I could command attention like that.
And the district manager, the one who I told you in the beginning, made those tapes for her chauvinistic boss, he instantly was jealous. He instantly felt like she was in competition with him. I love how small steps can lead to bigger steps and small risks can lead to bigger risks and bigger risks. And that was definitely the case for Georgia. I keep wanting to call her Gina because of Gina and Beauty Shop, which I also did a video on, which is another Queen Latifah movie, and you should check that out. She started off with just quitting her job. Then she went to liquidating her assets, to flying across the country, to eating everything on the menu, to doing bigger things like taking snowboarding lessons, base jumping, which is jumping off of a cliff. That's a big risk. And she did high stakes gambling.
That's a lot of money.
I know, huh?
I am not saying that you have to do all of this to take risks. This was just her journey. She only had 3 weeks to live. It was more so like, why not? What's the worst that could happen? But I just love the fact that she started to show up for herself more, do things she never did before, experience things she never had before, and just really take life at the reins. And that's just so admirable. And in every event, in every single way, in everything she did, Matthew, the district manager, was in competition with her.
That's just a lunatic bet right there.
And you know what's the crazy part about that? And what happens a lot when people are in competition with you is that you don't even know it. She was too busy worried about herself, being into herself, putting herself first, as some would say selfish, that she didn't even notice that this man is in competition with her. Sometimes people be in competition with you and you don't know it. There's no reason to compete, especially since every single time he lost. Every single time. Think about a lot of us who spend our time in like the shadows and with our head down is that we tend to be very observant creatures and we tend to see everything that people try to hide, but is like hidden in plain sight. I guess the cats are hungry, so they won't leave me alone. Say hi to Divine. I think her authenticity, coupled with the fact that she did not care anymore about keeping herself quiet, triggered people, because she definitely started to call shit like she saw it. If she didn't like something, if she saw something that was a little iffy, if she saw someone try to be fake with her, pretend with her, or someone be rude to someone else when it was uncalled for, she would call them out. She called out the senator, the Black senator, for not being there for his people.
Just can't seem to get past that big flashing for sale sign on your forehead.
But instead being here at this lovely hotel with his rich white counterparts. She called out the district manager's mistress for being rude to one of the service workers.
I don't like the way you're talking to that woman.
Because she was stressed about her job and being his mistress and doing shady shit. And she also called out Matthew for showboating and not practicing what he preaches or listening to his employees and what's best for the company. People sometimes get demonized for telling the truth or calling things like they are, how they see them, especially when they're put right in their face. But what I loved about this movie is like when she called out the senator or when she called out Mrs. Burns, who was the mistress, they didn't take offense to it. They got a chance to actually look at themselves and be like, hey, I didn't realize other people saw what I was going through.
Is it that obvious that I'm sleeping with him? Knew it.
She saw them for who they were, not who they were trying to pretend to be. She saw right through the mask. And the only person who had an issue with being called out was Matthew because he wasn't ready at that point in time to face himself. But where she called out the people who were entitled, she showed a lot of respect and love and compassion for the service workers in the hotel, even the ones who weren't nice to her, because she knows how it feels to work for people and be a hard worker and be stressed out and have people talk down to you all day. So even the ones who weren't as nice to her, weren't as welcome to her at first, she still showed love to.
Yeah, I know. I'm a bitch.
No, you're not. You're just like a lot of women who work too hard.
Because she's been where they were. When you have a magnetic presence like Georgia does, it rubs off, and people, in order to be around you, realize your boundaries and accommodate to them because they want to be around you more. For instance, for her boundary was, especially in the restaurant, is that she does not eat with substitutions. Like I told you before, she eats everything off the menu. And everybody wanted to be around her, wanted to be around her essence, wanted to be around this big, beautiful, magnificent woman. And they agreed to eat the food the way it was intended to be. They knew if they wanted to sit at her table, she's like, you can come sit with me, but if you sit with me, these are the rules. And they're like, oh, that's it? Girl, that ain't nothing. Come on, sit down. Let's all eat this food. I loved her and the chef's relationship. I love that she got to live out her dreams. I love that she was living in the now. And I love when the chef told her the secret of life is butter. I just love that quote. I don't know why, but like, the secret of life is butter. I'm gonna use that now. So back to Sean, because he was really hurt. She hurt his little feelings when she didn't want to go on the date with him. Like, he really, okay, first of all, Georgia's the prize. Okay, she don't realize it. Well, now she does. But at the time, she didn't realize that she's the prize. This man worked up the courage all this time to ask her out, and she said no. He was such a good guy that when she said no, he gave her the ticket anyway. He's like, well, maybe you'll change your mind. Come on. So anyway, he was determined to find out what was going on with her. He was determined to find out. He found out that she was only had like 3 weeks to live. And so he went immediately straight to her house, knocking down the door like the damn police. Everybody in the neighborhood wondering what the hell's wrong with him, looking for Georgia. And that's when they told him where she was at. And they showed him her book of possibilities. And he was in there with his little head cut out on top of this couple being married, and her head was cut out. Probably embarrassing for her to have him see. But nonetheless, he finally realized how she felt about him, and she wasn't rejecting him because she didn't like him. She was rejecting him because she didn't want, you know, to waste his time. One thing about a man who don't play about you, he really don't play about you. Okay, so we said that he knocked down the door. He found out where she was going. This is an international overseas flight that's probably like, I don't know, 18 hours long, layovers. This man hates flying, and he flew to see her. Not only that, when he was taking his transportation, because when you travel, you have to take multiple modes of transportation. Y'all know this, y'all grown. Anyway, on his way to the hotel, there was a huge avalanche blocking the road to get to the hotel. And instead of turning around, because that's what they instructed to, he got out of his taxi and he hoofed it.
Are you crazy?
In that snow. And he hates snow because he wanted to be there for Georgia in her last moments. That's how much he cared about her. He had to let her know how he felt, see how she felt, and be a support for her, whether it's 2 minutes, 2 weeks, the rest of her life. So coming back to hater ass Matthew, I just feel like when everyone loves a certain person, right? And you're in secret competition with them and you can't find anything wrong with them, you resort to snooping. So he paid one of the housekeepers to snoop on Georgia to see what she's hiding, what she's conniving, because she must be doing something evil to be this great and be this fabulous. And the housekeeper found Georgia's will and found out that she was dying. And she was like, girl, why do you want to be here with these terrible people instead of with your family? Why would you want to spend your last moments here? And Georgia was like, you know what? Girl, you're right. Like, why am I here? And she tried to go home. But like I said earlier, there was an avalanche around New Year's. So she couldn't get home. So she had to turn back to the hotel.
You're just not going to cut me any slack at all, are you?
which ended up working out because the chef needed her to be a sous chef because they were slammed due to the avalanche, and she got to live out her dream of cooking side by side one of her idols. Like I said, y'all, stuff be working out. Like, things just work out magically. I don't know how, but it just always works out. And I love that. There was a moment on that final New Year's Eve dinner right before when she was looking at herself in the mirror and she was realizing everything that she's done.
You have been very lucky. Next time, you do things different.
It was one of those moments where it's like, everything that I ever wanted to be, I am right now. It's one of those moments when you look in the mirror and it's like, you're unrecognizable to your old self, but you're recognizable to your new self. Like, I made it. I really did the damn thing and I look so good doing it. At that New Year's Eve dinner, while she was sitting with everyone, Matthew found out that Georgia is just a retail worker and thought it would be the perfect time to get his little gotcha moment at her.
Attention, Craig and shoppers, imposter, aisle 3.
And when she revealed that she only had 3 weeks to live and that she apologized, she didn't mean to deceive everyone, but she's always been honest about who she was from the beginning. She told them all about who she was. She said she clipped coupons. She said she liquidated her assets. She said she worked in retail for 10 years. She never lied. Everyone just saw her and made up assumptions of who they thought she was. And because of that, they took her word as bond. They trust her because of who they thought she was instead of listening to what she was actually saying to them. And yes, she is this most fabulous person. But I also have this issue with you guys and celebrities sometimes. Like, sometimes people will make these takes, especially on TikTok, about these celebrities like, oh, this celebrity isn't who I thought she was. Isn't she? Or is that person who they've been saying they are the whole time, but because you like them, you thought they would be someone else? Not saying that George is a bad person, but just making the correlation like, we need to hear what people are saying and actually see them instead of seeing what we think they should be or who we think they are. And like most attention-seeking men who get humiliated in front of everybody due to their own undoing, he threatened to unalive himself. And guess who had to come to his rescue and talk him down? Yeah, Georgia.
Come back in here. You know you're not going to jump. You couldn't even jump off the dam.
Miss Byrd, let me handle this, please.
And while she was doing that, her man, Sean, caught up to her and told him his feelings for her. And you guys, she found out that she did not have the disease she thought she did. The CAT scan was faulty because guess what, y'all? The machine was used. They bought a used machine because that store honestly should be investigated. I don't know what's going on with that store, but it should be investigated. I was sued. But I guess she was too happy to be alive that she didn't do nothing. And with this second chance, she didn't take her life for granted ever again. She did everything in that book of possibilities, even the point to naming it the book of realities. It wasn't a possibility or some pipe dream anymore. These are things she actually did. She opened her restaurant. She had another famous chef come there that she admired. She had celebrities there. She got everyone to taste her food. She married Sean while skydiving, mind you. She took life by the reins and never took any day for granted ever again. I'm running out of memory, so I want to wrap this video up by saying, give yourself permission. I understand the freeze. People always talk about fight or flight, but there's a third one. There's called freeze. And I just got out of freeze because I was in a freeze for a long time. And it's one of those responses where you're scared to start, you're scared to do, you're scared to move, you're scared to act in any way. So you just stand there and freeze. And sometimes it stems from being scared what people will think. And I'm here to tell you, as someone who has dealt with this multiple times in their life, but still was able to accomplish what they wanted to accomplish and will accomplish more, and you will accomplish more, I'm talking to you. Do it now. Do it scared. I know I sound like elementary school, you know, assembly, but I'm serious. Do it now and do it scared. Start today. Start with what you have. I know everyone says that, but I truly mean, you don't know how much stuff I did with just working with what I got. I'm the queen of being a crafty bitch. That's why I named it Crafty Bitch Chronicles, because all of these women in these stories worked with what they had. They didn't have everything, but they worked with what they got, and they got to higher heights than they ever even imagined. They got their exact dream man. They got their exact dream life. Life turned out even better than they planned. And I know these are movies, but a lot of this happens in real life. Like, you can do this too. doubt yourself and do it anyway. I don't know if I can do this, and still do it. Still do it. And yeah, you may quote unquote fail, but that was just a lesson. You get up and do it better. I know I sound preachy, and I know that might be annoying to some people, but I don't care, because I just want you to do great. And I was definitely a person who did not have the money or resources to do half the shit I did, and I did it anyway. And I know once I get the money and resources, I will do it better. By the way, you should watch the TED Talk for Steve Lacy. That would really help you guys out. I'm gonna link it below. Turn your book of possibilities into reality, and give yourself permission to become that great woman that you already know is yearning inside of you to come out, okay? I love you guys so much, and I'm running out of space, so I have to go. But also check out below all of my links below. Check out my blog, check out my stores. If you like TikTok, you can follow me on there. If you like Instagram, you can follow me on there. And I love you. Bye.